Hi, today we are going to talk about how to live a pronoia life. First off, why would you even want to live a pronoia lifestyle? What benefit could that possibly get you? Pronoia, as you may not know, is the exact opposite of paranoia. So, with paranoia, you think that the world is out to get you. With pronoia, you think that the world is actively conspiring for your greater good. Why is this important for you? It is important if you are a person trying to reach a goal, trying to create something new, or trying to live a life that feels non mundane, that feels easier. So, if any of those things are things that you want, then living with a pronoia mindset can help you get those things going. So, to start off, everything you experience is a mirror of your internal world. So, what exactly does that mean? It means that our brain is like hardware. Everything that you touch or notice or imagine then gets filtered through your baseline mindset, your filters is what we'll call them. So, if you have had a really if you've uh if you've ever had a really bad day that just weighed you down, you've likely felt the feeling that that mood has existed forever. That if you can't even imagine a time before that bad mood, and you can't imagine a time where that bad mood won't exist. So our moods overwrite our past and overwrite our future and cloud our present. So with pronoia, it is just another way to filter our feelings while still feeling our feelings that allow us to get things done while staying in the present moment. That sounded like a mouthful, I'm sure, but it's not as complicated as it sounds. So, if you believe that the world is indifferent to you or that the world is actually out to get you, then when we have those beliefs, our our reality will confirm it for us. So, if you say you're going to have a really bad day right when you wake up because you're tired, things are going to reflect that back to you because you've set the tone for the day. So, what pronoia is setting the tone of the world is working with me. That is my tone, that is my baseline. So, that's the basic understanding of what pronoia is and what pronoia can do for you when you practice having a pronoia mindset. We are often really, when we can use the fact that our perception of the world is going to be filtered through what we believe and what we feel, when we can use that to our advantage, is when we can start building momentum and full force. When we can start meeting our goals, we can start reaching our dreams at a much faster rate when we can understand the mechanics behind what is going to help us build momentum and outlook on life and our day-to-day feelings and our perceptions around all around the reaching our goals topic is very important, and having a pronoia mindset helps with that. So if you are interested in any of that, stay tuned. So if you're anything like me, you have learned the wrong equations for life. The equation I am referring to is the have, do, and be equation. When I have enough money, I'll be able to do XYZ, and then I'll be able to be the person I want to be. When I have the good body, I'll be able to do fun things, and I'll be able to be the social person I want to be. This equation is is failure in the making, and it's actually an equation to maintain the status quo. With that equation, we can't actually get to where we want to go. It's it's flawed. With pronoia, we change the equation to be, do, and have. And this can sound a lot like fake it till you make it, but it's important to know that we are not talking about lying or fake self esteem. We're not doing smiling rituals until we feel happy. It is more so paying attention to the frequency of happiness that is already in the external world and focusing more on that than on the at, other feelings that are happening at the same time. A person who is feeling very melancholic about life, that life is just kind of blah and kind of boring, not necessarily depression, but just uninterest. At the same time that that is happening, there's a person that lives right next to them that is like super excited about the fact that there's a rainbow and super happy that they are able to go swimming that day. And there's a person next to them that is like very, very angry that they have to like wake up in the morning. So multiple feelings are all happening at the same time. With pronoia, what we are doing is tapping out of ourselves and into the bigger happiness frequency outside of ourselves, instead of being like, oh, fake it till you make it. We're just tapping into the positive energy that's already there, already accessible. And so that kind of can remove the feelings of dishonesty that can come up when we are trying to build a new sense of self or try to reach goals. Like if you've ever started something new that you haven't done before, it can you've likely felt the feeling of, oh, this isn't me, or oh, I don't do those things, I'm not familiar with it. So it's important to know that pronoia isn't a mask, but rather it's a permission slip to live in the flow of life. Right now, you are likely living against or in spite of the flow of life. With pronoia, we are able to just organically move through the ebbs and flows of our day to day and the universal day to day. It's to be able to accept life without all of the negative added projections and stories. There are so many stories that go into your day. If you sat down at the end of the day and were like, have I had a good day? Have I had a bad day? There's likely so many criteria that you have in your head for if it was a good day or if it was a bad day. And those stories are constantly rolling and judging all the things you're doing. So, pronoia is a practice of resisting paranoia and letting go of negative self fulfilling prophecies to then be able to live in the present and do the things you want to do, because the the goals you want to reach, their completion is in the future, totally. But the action that you need to be taking to reach those goals only exists in the present. They don't exist in any other place. And when we're clouded by negative stories and clouded by uh, the perception that we're going to have a bad day or that we're not doing well enough, that clouding prevents us from being in the here and now and prevents us from actually taking action. And action is the only way we're going to get momentum, and momentum is the only way we're going to get our dreams made. So I hope that all landed clearly. So now we need to talk about what pronoia is. Pronoia is not magic, it's repetition. It's every time that you catch yourself feeling that the world is against you, or that worse, your mind or yourself is against you, if you're fighting those battles, you take a step back and look at what is being taught to you, what is being in the positive with you. It's not bypassing the negative. We're not doing fake optimism. We are training ourselves to widen our perspective to see all things and accentuate the positive to be able to express more of the positive and gain more of the positive. That brings me back to the be, do, have shift. Being comes first. And all the things that we want to make, all the things we want to reach, being comes first. You don't become the writer after your first book. You become the writer the moment you start writing and continually write. You don't become you don't become calm when life stops being chaotic. You become calm when you stop demanding that life be calm. Pronoia is a mindset that allows us to collapse the waiting in between becoming and being. It teaches us to walk as if the ground is already there because we feel it and it is already there, but the stories in our head make us think that because we're not yet there that we can't walk the talk. But in reality, our reality is a mirror. Every event, every person, every thing that happens to us, it's not a punishment. People punish, but the world in itself doesn't punish you. And it's important, really important to realize that when you're struggling to get into the flow state, it's not because you're a failure and the world is trying to prove to you that you shouldn't write. When you are struggling to keep the momentum for your school and you're really, really trying hard, it's not that the school system is against you and that it hates you. All these things are a conversation with the universe. You send out a vibration, a belief, a mood, a story, and the world replies. You don't always get what you want, but you very, very often get what you assume the world gives people like you. That's that's why having a pronoia mindset helps us get to our goals faster, get to our hopes and our dreams faster because when we start to perceive ourselves as pronoia and start to perceive the world outside of us as being a place of pronoia, then how do I explain this? When we have a goal, we often want the positive feeling that having that goal will get us. We don't necessarily want the abs, we want the confidence that the abs will give us. We don't necessarily want the book tour, we probably want all of the positive feedback in the fans and that aspect of a book tour. So when we're able to harness the positive energy that we would have had in that future scenario into the present, then we are able to reverse engineer our motivation to move forward. It's like getting paid as you're doing the job instead of doing the job and waiting to get paid. It makes it much, much easier to clock in every single day with yourself when you're getting constant emotional feedback. Now, it's super important to know that this entire process is a spiral. You will forget. I forget. You will fall. I fall. You will wake up cynical and tired because, yes, you will. And that's just a part of the practice. Pronoia isn't about staying high, it's about learning to come back. Every single time you return back to the pronoia mindset, it's building a muscle. It's teaching our nervous system to have faith that we can handle whatever comes our way. It's a very intense version of reparenting ourselves so that we can trust ourselves in any when any situation happens because we know that we are grounded in a positive mindset. When you drop the ball, when you lose your momentum, it's okay. You don't have to punish yourself. It's a failure, but it's not. You are not a failure. That moment you failed. And it's very important to distinguish identifying with failure versus identifying with the action of failing. It's not that you become a failure because you failed. You don't. That's quite a choice. As long as you keep, it's kind of like a trite saying, but as long as you get back up and keep going, you're no longer the failure. You're just somebody who's practicing. That's like the key difference between a person who's practicing and a failure is that you keep trying, you keep getting back up. And when you fail, it's really important to know that the guilt you feel is natural. The guilt from missing a writing session or the guilt from skipping a gym session or the guilt from whatever from not starting the project that you've started 12 times, like whatever the guilt is coming from, that is okay. The guilt is okay, but you want to make sure that it's right sized, that the guilt is able to be a compass pointing you in the direction you want to go. The problem is when the guilt signal, like the pain signal, tells us what we need to go and fix and do. The problem is when we take the guilt signal and metastasize it and make it into shame or into resentment or into self-hatred, when we make the guilt more than what it was, and we lose our ability to steer ourselves and to do things. Pronoia, when we're living a pronoia lifestyle, what that process would look like is, okay, well, we skipped practicing this day, or we did really really bad this day, and I kind of feel bad about it. I don't like that aspect of myself. Pronoia isn't like toxic positivity where it's like, oh well, that doesn't matter or anything like that. It's like, okay, so what can we do better next time? What can we do? But it's making sure that the guilt stays right sized instead of backsliding into shame, because the shame or the uh, hate, self hate, or the projective anger at somebody else makes it much harder to get back into the flow state in the future. Reaching our goals, the flow state is super important. And getting into the flow state frequently and easily is fundamental in being able to enjoy the process. And when we mess up or struggle or hit a block, and then we compound that block with other negative stories and negative emotions, those stories crystallize around our entrance into flow state. So it's really important to make things easier for yourself and listen to the guilt right when it comes up and say, okay, I hear you, I feel you, and just go into planning mode or into a way to feel the guilt and process it without letting it go to the next level. I'm going to make more videos on that in the future, but right now we're trying to focus on the pronoia aspects of this process, because yeah, messing up is going to happen. Real life is going to happen. Pronoia is not about negating reality. It's about seeing the bigger picture of reality and really making sure that you don't negate all of the positive things that are happening at the same time of the bad things. So you've heard all these benefits and awesome things about pronoia. How in the heck do you actually start building a pronoia mindset? Now, there's so many techniques and so many methods that I could just bore you with pages and pages of things. But to keep things simple, I'm just going to give a short list of simple things that you can start implementing to build a baseline. And in future videos, we're going to build off of that. So, first things first, rehearsing from the future. So, you can do this by speaking, by writing, video diaries, anything you want to do. And you're going to talk from the place and from the mood and feeling of already succeeding in what you want to succeed in. And this is really good for goals, but if you're not wanting to do it with your goals, you can just do it from a mood, a feeling. So like if you've eaten something that you really really liked, a few days later, write from that mindset and practice evoking that feeling of joy, of pleasure, of bliss when you're not there. Uh, and just practice that. And then when you can, do it with your goals. So if your goal is to be like number one knitting champion, imagine what that would feel like, so that when you are knitting, you can have that energy in the room with you. That just jumpstarts your flow state, and that's a huge step into a pronoia mindset. The energy, the enveloping of positive bliss. And then, so second thing is to always be looking for micro evidence. Stay on alert for synchronicity, stay on alert for small cosmic messages. What does this do for you? How does this help you? This helps you repair the relationship with the external world. If you've ever thought that the world thinks that you're insignificant or doesn't care about you, looking out for the micro evidence for the world loving you can really help repair the relationship so that you're not projecting onto the universe the fact that you feel abandoned by it, or the fact that it sucks or anything like that. Whatever it is that you're projecting, when you start looking for the micro evidence that the universe is on your side, that gives you feedback, and it's positive feedback for you. And then when you have that positive feedback, it clears up the channel between you and your external world. So, third thing, curating your environment. This is a super fun and simple one. Make sure that where you are working on your main projects, or where you are spending the majority of your time, is a place that evokes joy. If you do not like dust and dirt and slime, don't write around it. Don't do things around it. Make sure that your environment, where you're spending the majority of your time, is something that makes you smile, makes you just feel at home, at peace. That's a fun thing, because you get to design and make things, and you don't even need money to do it. Just figure out what makes you feel at peace and surround yourself with it as best to your ability. Now, the fourth thing that is very difficult, but forgiving fast. When things go wrong, or when somebody hurts you emotionally, or anything like that, or when things fall through, or anything, when it's a time for forgiving, forgive quickly. You don't forget quickly. I'm not saying that you have to let the person who hurt you back into your heart, and an opportunity for them to hurt you again. And I'm primarily talking about self-forgiveness in this category, primarily. And this talk goes back to the guilt and shame and stuff. You really want to make sure that you're not spending a long time in the feeling of resentment. The shorter amount of time that you can spend there, the better for helping you stay in a state of pronoia and being able to keep that momentum. But it's also very important to know that those moments happen and they're natural, and you don't want to repress them by any means. You want to fully digest and experience them. So whatever coping mechanisms you have, make sure to employ them the moment you start to feel those emotions. And the fifth one is just simply affirmations. Affirmations really do work. Now, compared to other methods, they don't work as quickly. If trying to change your core sense of self was working out, fasting is much faster than body recomposition for losing weight. And affirmations would be on the side of body recomposition. It takes much, much longer for affirmations to sink down into your subconscious, and for your subconscious to then change the signals it sends to your sense of self and frontal lobes. That all takes a very long time, but it does really work, especially when you do it on a continual basis. So changing the way you talk to yourself and having a gratitude or a mantra practice daily will help you progressively be able to sustain a pronoia mindset. So those are the tips and tricks, and I really hope to know if you have any other tips and tricks. Please let us all know in the comments, and let me know what things are keeping you from a pronoia mindset, and if there's any questions you have, or anything that I can dive into deeper to help you maintain a positive pronoia mindset at this time. Thank you so much for watching.